How are the most delicious ice creams made? It is true that it is a dream since childhood to eat many of these. There are very few who could proclaim themselves as no ice cream lovers, because from the smallest to the largest we surrender to the temptation of a creamy ice cream. 1 in 10 people admits that she has licked a bowl of ice cream after finishing it. She doesn't want to miss a thing. And while you can make ice cream at home with endless materials, what you cannot miss is a place to freeze them. That is essential. But today we will show you how the big brands make ice cream with powerful machinery. For this reason, in this video we will enter the most famous ice cream factory, and this time you will be able to see how, after so much time, the secret behind those frozen delicacies is revealed. If you are an ice cream lover or you are simply very curious and want to enter the largest ice cream factory, I invite you to watch this video until the end and discover how these mega industries do wonders. In the same way, I invite you to subscribe so that you can enter with us the largest factories in charge of producing your favorite products. Ice cream is really old, although it was not until the 13th century that ice cream arrived in Europe from China. The Romans already had something similar since they mixed fruit and honey cold. An ice cream is currently a solid or pasty food brought by freezing. The ancestors of the ice creams that we know today are the granitas, since, before they began to be made with milk, it was the traditional method to obtain this popular dessert. Now, ice creams are usually water, milk or cream. Ice cream in times past was a delicacy of kings, and its consumption was reserved for the most privileged who kept the formulas for its preparation. Currently, the most recognized brands keep their recipes hidden, but they have allowed us to discover it today. You dare? It is time to enter the factory and see how the most famous ice cream brands do it, and surely you will recognize more than one of those that we will show you. Industrial ice cream is manufactured like any other ultra-processed ice cream, in large, highly mechanized plants, using many processed ingredients and additives, as opposed to natural raw materials. We start with the creamy chocolate popsicles that, although they are already delicious, are later passed through a chocolate bath, but not one by one but many at the same time. This chocolate bath also contains nuts, usually it can be almonds, but this will depend of the producer. Meanwhile, the delicious ice creams let all that chocolate drip off their surface. We wouldn't mind collaborating in that factory at all. And if you prefer the best of both worlds, then there are some where you can combine ice cream and chocolate. And if you want to add something else, well, you can also see how the traditional strawberry, shortbread and chocolate ice cream is made. It's just that it's not so different from how popsicles are made in the industry than how you would do it at home. A mold that gives them the characteristic shape is filled with the flavor you prefer, and after being frozen, they are removed and the famous popsicles are obtained. In fact, you can mix flavors. By the way, did you know that its flavor is sweeter when it is at a higher temperature? Yes, a little melted is even sweeter. Notice it the next time you have a fruit popsicle. And if you talk about mixing flavors, there are many brands that present the 3 most popular flavors in a single presentation: strawberry, ice cream and chocolate, all in a single container. These machines fill the container with the 3 creamy mixtures at once and then they are frozen. One of the most popular are the waffles. These cone-shaped wafers are placed on a chocolate bottom and then other pourers fill them with creamy vanilla ice cream. Did you know that most of the vanilla used in ice cream comes from Madagascar, in Indonesia? For 8 tons of ice cream, about 10 kilos of vanilla pods are used. After packaging, we go to the blast chiller to lower the temperature to -22 degrees Celsius, at least, as quickly as possible. A freezer cabinet at a very low temperature can also serve, that is, about -30 degrees Celsius. There are some presentations of ice cream that with just this or adding another chocolate coating are ready to be packaged and distributed, but there are many types of ice cream. And the spiral shape is one of the most striking features. But the secret of a good ice cream like the ones we have seen is in its mix. The main element in most of these ice creams is milk. It arrives in large trucks and is stored, but that alone is not enough. Normally the mixing is done inside the pasteurizer. The liquids will be introduced first, either milk or water, then the cream. At this time there is a diversity of opinions. There are industries that introduce it at 70 degrees Celsius and others when the temperature begins to drop. Here everything is coldly calculated. This phrase has never been used better. All ingredients must be weighed before putting them in the pasteurizer if we want to be sure that no ingredient has been omitted or duplicated. The weighing must be rigorous up to a certain point. An overweight of 5 to 10 grams in an ingredient that we are going to incorporate 10 kilos would be an acceptable error, but be careful with that. Here it must be the operator who with common sense can decide on these issues. Ingredients with a lower percentage, stabilizers, emulsifiers, proteins, aromas, colorants, must be carefully weighed on a precision scale, especially if the quantities are small. At about 30 degrees Celsius we can start mixing powdered milk and powdered sugars with maximum agitation of the emulsifier. Next, the stabilizer or emulsifier will be incorporated with a part of the sucrose. This is done so that the stabilizer is not encapsulated and can be dissolved correctly. At about 60 to 70 degrees centigrade we add the syrups of liquid glucose, chocolate coatings, cocoa, nut pastes, and everything you want to make this ice cream a delight. Pasteurization is essential in these processes because it uses relatively low temperatures and contact times, thus achieving a moderate extension of the shelf life of the ice cream as it prevents the proliferation of microorganisms. After pasteurizing, it is homogenized to reduce the fat globules in the mixture, making it more compact and creamier. Then the ice cream goes through a process called aging, being at -5 degrees Celsius for a minimum of 4 hours. As you have been told, the most important thing about an ice cream is its temperature, so a crucial step is freezing it. During this process the texture of the mixture changes from liquid to solid or semi-solid by means of agitation and cold. The ice cream mix is introduced into a batch freezer or ice cream maker. Normally it is a cylindrical tube that produces cold on its walls of -35 degrees centigrade and blades that scratch this cylinder with which the mixture takes the form of ice cream, that is, the water freezes. But during this process air is also incorporated due to the agitation of the blades of the batch freezer. The amount of air that is incorporated depends on several factors, such as the amount of protein, total solids, type of sugar used, use of emulsifiers, etc. If the incorporated air is excessive, we will obtain an ice cream similar to a mouse. If, on the other hand, little air is incorporated, the ice cream will be heavy and possibly tight. These ice creams are so perfectly frozen that when they are moved from one place to another, they can travel in all directions without spilling. Before freezing, the necessary liquid flavors and dyes must be added. But an ice cream, just by putting it in the heat, stops being ice cream, so how do these big industries keep their product? The conservation of ice cream must be by law below -18 degrees Celsius. Experts believe that this is a storage temperature for a few days. At this temperature we have a risk that the water begins to crystallize. To keep the ice cream for a long period of time without affecting its structure too much, we should keep it at -24 degrees Celsius. Quick freezing of ice cream is essential for creamy ice cream because smaller ice crystals are formed. Once out of the freezer, the ice cream must be stabilized in order to harden and crystallize most of the water that still remains in a liquid state in order to harden it. Now let's talk a little about the transport of the ice cream. As it is a frozen product, it must be carried out in conditions that guarantee it will not lose temperature. A loss of temperature will render the product unusable, as it will thaw and refreeze at destination, which will produce large ice crystals in addition to microbiological problems. The best advice that can be given if this occurs is to remove the product. If the distance is very long, refrigerated transport must be available to ensure a temperature of at least -18 degrees centigrade. If the distance is small, an isothermal transport or isothermal containers can be used. Machine after machine, all with the exact measure, the ideal combinations in ideal quantities. Despite this, the appearance of the human does not cease to be present throughout this process. There are many types of ice cream that use these principles: cones, cups, those in large containers, all are filled with ice cream paste of different flavors. After seeing this, do you think you can replicate those recipes? Do you like natural ice cream more, or are you the ones who enjoy the variety of combinations that a factory-made ice cream show? Tell us. From the preparation of the mixture, to combining a simple flavor with many other ingredients, the meticulous care of temperatures and packaging are some of the processes that take place so that an ice cream is in the fridge at home. The super machines that you have observed are the mixer, mixing tanks, homogenizer, plate exchanger, maturation vats with agitators and jackets, mixers, freezers, rotary packaging machines, cooling tunnels, packaging machines, among many more. To this is added the staff, those who are in the control centers aware of everything. The quality of the ice cream will also depend on the controls that are carried out throughout the chain, from the reception of the inputs or raw material to the point of sale with the customer. What is the best flavor? Well, only everyone knows what the best flavor is according to their tastes, but the most popular flavor is vanilla, and very, very close is the popular chocolate ice cream. Mixing, pasteurizing, packaging, freezing, packaging, and transporting, basically this is how we can summarize everything we have learned about ice cream. If you liked it, give it a like and subscribe so that you have free access with us to all the super factories that are responsible for making your favorite products. Many dentists use ice cream as an anti-inflammatory treatment, and in fact, because it is a food rich in tryptophan, regardless of the flavor you choose, they all contain this amino acid that is a precursor to serotonin. That is, it can also be said that ice cream, it makes us happy. So, when you eat ice cream, they won't say you're a glutton, you're just taking your medicine. What an excuse. Just remember to take it in moderation.